things you need to consider when you're thinking about how much cash you would need when starting a supported living company. So guys, as you know, I'm always banging on about how, yes, private healthcare is lucrative, and yes, I know a lot of you want to use your skills that you've developed over the years through being a carer, a nurse, etc., to, you know, finally gain some sort of financial freedom, and I'm all for it. But there's a reason why I always tell people that it's better to start in domiciliary care and pivot your way into supported living if you don't have enough capital than to go straight into supported living and find out the hard way, right? So yes, supported living does require more capital, and I'm going to just talk about 3 things to consider when you are starting a supported living company and why you will need a good amount of money. You are not going to be profitable as a business straight away. Look, I say this all the time. You are not going to start straight away and become profitable. So you need to think about, are you going to quit your job straight away? If you are, that's very bold of you. Big gamble, but it's definitely bold. Or are you going to keep your job, which I would definitely suggest, and only quit your job when you become profitable? What are the downsides of that? Well, I mean, if you're still working full time, who's going to do all the necessary things that you have to do to make a successful business during the day? Especially if you're going to be the nominated individual and the registered manager, and you don't have the capital to hire a team straight away. What's going to happen during the working hours? I mean, the working hours, you're going to be at work. So who's going to do the things that are necessary to, you know, propel your company during working hours? Are you going to quit straight away, or are you going to kind of be doing it simultaneously? And I'm going to tell you now, guys, it's really not easy to be running a supported living company and to be working full time. It's difficult, you know what I'm saying? So you might need to consider, maybe I need to go into this with someone. Maybe I need to share the role of a nominated individual and a registered manager between me and a friend that I know is seasoned, or between me and someone in my workplace who I know also wants to start a business. You need to think about that, because listen, your business is not going to be profitable straight away. Your business is not going to break even straight away. These are the things you need to think about. Even if you start with £70,000, you still need to have a plan in place as to how you are going to start to make your business profitable. Secondly, who is going to source property for you? Have you got experience with sourcing property? Are you a landlord? Do you have property sourcing friends? Do you have friends who have a wide portfolio that you can say, hey, let me see your property. Let me see if it's ideal for the tender that I want to apply for. You know, these are the things you need to consider. Unlike a domiciliary care agency where you can just, you know, be registered to one place and you go to the service user's house, they will need to come to your property. So how are you going to go about having that property? How are you going to go about sourcing that property? And some people say to me, I've got a property and I know it's great. And I always say, according to who? Everyone's property is great to them. What is the property like? Has it got access to local amenities? Is it a property that is up to a high standard? It might not be the ideal property the way you think it is. 3, have you got enough money not only to source the property, but to QA it, to make sure that it's up to a good standard? There was one guy that I spoke to, he said that he thought he had an absolute bargain on his hands because he had a property that it was QA'd according to him. Everything was great, but it was in a random village in the middle of Sean, and it had absolutely no transportation links. It was one of those places in the village where the only way you can get there is if you are a driver, and even still, it's awkward to get to. I thought this property was so great, and when I had a look at it, I was like, I don't know. 5 months later, he's still stuck with an empty property. So you need to think about these things. These are little things that you need to consider, or not little, great things that you need to consider. Might not seem so obvious on the surface, but I'm telling you guys, it's imperative to consider.